Welcome to the Journey 2020. I'm Charles Morris, happy to be with you. As you know, normally you would see Dr. Robinson at this time, and as Dr. Robinson would say, the journey is from me to you and from you to me. And Charles Morris, welcome again. And I want to say that I'm enjoying, actually, some cool weather came our way. People in Florida, we so spoiled, so people are complaining about it, but I'm loving it, as a matter of fact. But about a week or so ago, we had the conversation. We were talking about Donald Sterling, and called up a very good friend of mine. And at the time when we were doing that show, he couldn't make it. So I said, well, we definitely will do a part two. So today, joining us is Vince Carter Sr., and he just came from California himself. And in addition to that, we will also be talking about Michael Sams, and it's not going to be what you think, but still, it's almost like we've lost our mind in today's world. It's just mind-boggling, the mindset and just where we are from some of the little simple things. And so, Vince Carter, how you doing, man?
Doing fine, Charles. Glad to finally make it here.
Yeah. Well, been trying to get you on the show, but people don't know what it's like to try to catch up with you.
It's difficult at times, I must admit. I must admit.
So tell me what you've been doing.
Hey, just trying to keep busy. I'm very, very heavily involved in that basketball. And so we're coaching some teams during the summer, working with some kids during the summer, and just trying to stay busy. Keep trying to keep things going. But cannot elude, or cannot stay away from all the news that's going on around us. Trying not to let that get in my head, but some of it is just difficult not to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the things that I did say, there's a lot that's going on when it comes to that whole Sterling thing.
Absolutely.
That, to me, that really is not part of the discussion.
Absolutely.
Okay? Example, Sterling can be as racist as he want to be. He has the right to do that. If the KKK has the right to be the KKK, and if I want to go 1968 and want to be part of the Black Panthers,
Absolutely.
whatever, I have the right to do that.
Right.
To me, people of color, and I guess most of us know that we've been around people that are not people of color. And they seem to be surprised when these type of things come up. And it's almost like, really? And when we talk about it, it's almost like it's y'all need to just let that go. But when you deal with it from day to day,
Right.
we're not making this stuff up. We don't want to be sitting here having this conversation.
Right. That's not a conversation I want to have. You're
Right. We don't want to feel that way. We just want to go about our lives and deal with life the way that it is, as difficult as it may be.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to the old Richard Pryor in concert. When Richard Pryor evolved to the point where he wasn't using the N-word anymore.
Right.
Okay, and he said something on stage where he had an encounter with a man, and he said it was just us, man on man. Then he went to the N-word. Then he was like, now I'm not a man anymore. Now I got to deal with this. We just can't have a conversation and have a debate or even agree to disagree, because now all of a sudden you have to acknowledge that you think you better than me,
Right.
you above me,
Right.
I am beneath you, and I'm less than. And the thing that caught me that nobody really talks about, his whole point of conversation, he was talking about his circle. His circle of people who feels the same way he feels.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's really the topic and why he was having the discussion, because his friends were saying, look, your girl putting this out on, boom, boom, and with this person of color, and why you got to do that? Because my friends are just like, so he's talking about his circle.
Absolutely.
And nobody's really talking about that.
Well, the other part of that, too, he sounded like a jealous lover.
Okay.
Because he was upset because of the fact that from my take on it, he's upset because of the fact that she's having this a relationship with with a man of color, if you will, a black guy, I would call him, and that seemed to disturb him. That goes back to what you said previously. In his circle, that's a taboo situation. How can you let your lady? Now, let's not forget the fact that he's married. Okay, but we're not going to discuss that right now. Your lady is out here having this association, and as he said, it makes me look bad.
Right.
Why do you have to do that? So that in itself is a whole different kind of context in what we're talking about. Number two, why the media is blowing this all out of proportion.
Right.
I mean, it's constantly being, every idiotic thing he says makes the news. Well, who are we benefiting here? Our community? Oh, we're actually doing PR work for him.
Right.
Because this is completely crazy stuff that he's talking about. It makes no sense.
Well, because of our society, there's really no punishment for this guy. In a sense, to say that, oh well, you got to sell the team. Oh, give me $500 million. Give me $1 billion, and I'll go away.
Well, the only thing that makes that I can say about that is he signed an agreement that a binding selling agreement between himself and the NBA. Now there were a couple of clauses in it that said that based on certain behavior, this is being kind of falling into that category. He has agreed to abide by the NBA's decision. Now he's saying he doesn't want to do that. Now, given his history, he's had a lot of, and one of the guys that said
since 1982.
Since 1982, and one of the guys were commenting the other. I think Charles Barkley made the statement. They have known about him for a long time.
Right.
Within his circle, within the NBA circle, even David Stern, he hadn't made any public comments that had gotten out like this, but it's been said before. So they knew who he was.
Right.
He's escaped from being a slumlord. He has had other discrimination lawsuits against him and all kinds of, so this is not new.
Right.
It's just that it got publicized.
Right.
You know, so now all of a sudden, now I agree that he needs to have a social punishment. I'm sorry, is not enough.
Right.
Because what he said was, to me, if I'm playing for him, it's not employer anymore. You actually disgraced me. You criticized me as a human being. You treated me almost like an object. Now, I understand the work relationship. I'm the guy, I own it, and you play for me. I understand that. But when you articulate it that way, it's hurtful, I think. And I was very, if I was a player, I can understand why the team had a discussion that maybe we just won't play. And I could have stood behind that.
Right.
I really could have.
But it's such a thin line, because in reality, you have to separate, and I think the majority of the time, because I think that there's very few owners that own professional teams that have that kind of relationship with the players where they feel like if I win this championship, it's also for the owners as well. I think the majority of the time it's for the team and the coach and that group. Well,
some owners, like take for instance the Indianapolis coach, because of the Kraft, I'm talking the Patriots, I'm sorry, the Kraft family, how close they were to the team. Yes, it's said that it's for him, and they dedicated it to his wife, who healed and then later passed. I think that may be true, but you're right. It's about that play on the field. Now, who benefits the most is the owner.
Right.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh yeah, definitely.
From the dollars and cents.
Oh yeah.
But the instant gratification comes from the player on the field.
Well, there's two different things, and you know what I mean by that is that the so old saying is that you can't buy a championship.
Yeah.
Okay. So the whole thing of when the experience of the championship is totally different than the gratification of, okay, I just won the lottery.
Right.
Okay. So that's something totally different. Okay. But that's what I mean by when they do what they do. I mean, it's kind of like we've made so much of a joke about it that as we definitely go overboard. Okay, like for an example, did you see the picture of the Clippers that was going around, the 12 years of Clipper?
Yes, I did see that.
Right. Okay. Now, all those brothers on that picture can go and buy them a plantation plus one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we go like, yeah, really? 12 years of Clipper? 12 years of Clipper, he hasn't missed a payment.
Right, not one. That's true. That's true. He hasn't missed a payment yet. Yeah.
So it's funny, but in reality, the other side of that too is that as much as they talk about, like for an example, Elgin Baylor. So they talk about Elgin Baylor acknowledged that he was that way.
Right.
But Elgin Baylor continued to work for him and still pick up a check and be like, really? Right. So what's wrong with, that's real. That's the real world.
That is
That's
true.
you know, you face that all the time.
Every day.
So I'm able to go and make my living, even though I know he is who he is. He has a missed payment, but that doesn't mean that I can't do what I need to do within the realm of that circle of the environment that I'm working in.
Well, that's the delicate line right there, because I think what you're hearing people saying, and I think I have a split emotion also.
Okay.
Number one, I find it disrespectful to hear you relate to me that way. But then on the other side, it's a work relationship.
Right.
If you're paying me, because I'm working in an environment now where this very same conversation could be taking place, I just don't know it.
Right.
I can assume that that's what they're saying,
Right.
but I don't really know that. So I'm not as offended or at this moment. Now, when it becomes public knowledge, maybe like this, I might feel the same way. And I think you're right. There's a very, very thin line, because on one perspective, I heard players say, I don't really care. As long as I get my check, I can go. But then there's the integrity on the other side of saying, I don't mind working for you, but I need your respect as well. And so I think that's the other side that you say, well, I need your respect as a human being. I don't need you to come and sit with me. We're going to have coffee, but I am a human being. And that's the other side of the argument. And that's a thin line, because in both, one of the things I teach a cultural competency class, and one of the things I help people, I always make sure they understand, we don't have to like each other to work together. That is not imperative that we do so. But we do have to be sensitive to the person with whom we're working with. We don't want to come to work and offend people for no reason.
But Vince, you got to understand something. You're talking about a person who has a certain type of intellect. You're talking about yourself, who understands, who has a maturity, who's not ignorant.
Well, I was going to say, this man's 80 years old. He's older than I am. But he's ignorant from the standpoint he's been allowed to do this within his circle. It is expected.
Well, that's because the arrogance,
yes,
and the money.
Yeah.
So therefore, when you arrogant like, and he's probably arrogant because of the money.
Or the money.
So there is no to him.
Well, look. To your point, he has a signed agreement to agree to what the NBA in that clause in his contract about disciplinary actions. He's now saying the 2.5, I'm not going to pay it. But
right.
You agreed. That was a part of buying the team.
Right.
That you agreed. But what he thought was, it would never come a time when you would challenge me.
But that goes back to his arrogance.
That goes exactly back to
his arrogance. So it's all. I mean, for example, the first time that he spoke, it was just sheer arrogance.
Oh, absolutely.
Because what he said was, I just should have paid off. You know what I'm saying?
No concern about what he said.
So it has nothing to do with anything other than what I didn't say anything wrong.
I got caught.
I got caught. But I just should have paid off.
Right.
Now, evidently, somebody must have tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, look, blah 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 blah.
Right.
So then
So then we get this fake apology with tears.
Right.
And all of that, which to me, see, that's where it's becoming a joke to me.
Right.
Okay. Because let's be real. What we've seen about him up until that time, that was a show. Because he was, as you spoke of, his arrogance says he doesn't think he's done anything wrong. In his circle, he hasn't done anything wrong.
Right.
The only thing is he got caught.
Right. And that
it got to become public knowledge.
And that kind of goes back to the arrogance and the ignorance of people saying, well, slavery was a good thing because at least they was being fed and they had a house, they had a roof over their head.
Charles, my point on that about slavery was a good thing for who? Wasn't a good thing for everybody, just for some.
Well, I would love to have the discussion and not that it would go anywhere and not that it would mean anything. But I would love to have somebody like Dr. Robinson or somebody talk about the psyche of the fact, which has been said over the grace of time, about the mentality of the fact that you think that you better than, and then let's just say, I pull up. Let's just say I have a car. Pull up. I'm a place I've never gone before. I see people that I have never seen before, and I look over there and go like, oh, I don't see people. I see things that I considered lower than dirt.
Status.
Okay, because I see myself as above this and above that.
Right.
and the arrogance of the fact that, well, these aren't people, so let's just do this.
Yeah. Well, that's the mental. That would be an interesting discussion because there's more to that than meets the eye.
Okay.
And I just really think that even what you just said, it's even deeper than that, because there's a mentality, there's the concept of genocide. Mm-hmm. Going all the way back. It was psychological as well as it was physical. It was the mentality of putting people in a constant motion, a constant attitude of behaviors that would always make them think you cannot do any more than this.
Right.
And not giving them any other options. It would be interesting to hear the psychology behind that, because it has some it's valid. Well, however, there are ways to overcome that, and I think that's what we need to be looking at.
But my thing is, I would like to find out the deeper part of, especially now, that I look at it as more of a insecurity.
It plays on insecurity.
Well, within the person.
Yes, it does. I would agree.
So what I'm saying is, let's just say, if I walk in the room, especially now, and if I'm insecure about the fact that on an equal playing field, and I'm going to go deep for a second. Okay, I'm going to go deep for a second.
Go ahead.
Okay. Sometimes it gets to the point that if we walk in the room, Vince, and as a man, you understand what I'm saying. Some people are women. A woman won't get this.
Okay.
But by nature alone, okay, if we nothing, we both have nothing. But I'm facing you one-on-one. It's just between us.
Right.
And because of the fear that I have of whether or not you may overpower me,
right,
you may take my woman,
right,
those type of things. So therefore all this other stuff come out,
right,
because in reality I see you as a threat.
right.
And so therefore the example is, you may have more money than me in wealth, but when we walk in the room one-on-one, man on man, and there's nothing that's going on, I'm powerful than you.
Right. Right.
I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. Because the when you look at, let's look at it this way: successful, unsuccessful. I think there are circumstances that cause that to take place. And so we're going to say we make certain steps that we do that make us successful, unsuccessful. Okay. What that really is confidence over lack of confidence and opportunity. So here's a guy who's very confident that he can take the opportunities provided to him and make the most of it. If he believes and has that kind of confidence, when he walks in any room with anyone,
right,
he's confident that I can sustain myself in this room. There's nothing I don't have to fear you,
right,
because I'm just as confident,
right,
or I'm just as educated, I am just as knowledgeable. And in some cases, I have just as much wealth.
Right.
And I think that's the attitude. But when you don't feel that, and I agree with you, when you don't feel that way, you automatically give the advantage to your opponent.
Right. Yeah.
You play basketball. When you walk on the court, it's how I look at you.
Right.
That I strike fear, and you say, "Wait a minute, we run up and down we've had a tough game, tight game, up and down the floor. It's the fourth quarter. You're bending over, holding your shorts. I'm standing up, looking at you. You automatically think, "Oh, this guy's not. He must be in better shape than me."
Right.
Then the mental wars begin. I'm winning now. So I think that's true in life as well. To your point, when you walk in that room, that eye contact. Everybody talks about that. I teach that. You walk in, you look them in the eye. You
right,
strike a lot of fear in people, because most people don't make eye contact.
Right.
They don't stand up. And I can remember my mother said, "Stand up straight and speak clearly." Well, those things now are the part of what gives the person that confidence in that room. Walking in the room where you know no one and command that room. So right, you get respect for just the way you walk in the room. That's a learned behavior.
Now the other thing too is it's always interesting when we're having this type of conversation, and then there's white people like Skip
Skip Bayless?
Yeah. And he's talking with who I call Smitty.
Stephen A. Smith.
Right. Well, I call him Smitty. And I'm starting to have a little bit more respect for him, Smitty.
Yes.
Because his arrogance come across sometimes, but that's okay. I mean, you have to be arrogant to do what he does.
Yeah, I think, especially with Skip.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so there's times when you can just tell the difference that you don't understand.
Sure.
What's the wide receiver for Philadelphia who used the N word when he was drunk?
Yes, I cannot recall the
Right,
name.
but you know what I'm
I know
talking about.
exactly who you're talking about.
Okay,
Right?
he was trying to compare that to your boy Sterling. Okay, and you almost had to laugh.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so here you got the white guy. He's drunk. He's full of liquor. Blah blah blah. He had his N-word moment. His N-word moment has nothing to do with the fact that he hired people.
no.
He has nothing to do with the food that Sterling puts on people's plate.
Right.
Okay, the insurance, the mortgage are due. Okay, he has that power.
Right.
The wide receiver don't. He just out there playing football.
Well,
right.
He's an employee himself.
Right. So Sterling affect people's lives tremendously.
Right.
And there's a big difference between some knucklehead just out there, blah 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 blah, and here's Sterling who hiring somebody.
Well, he's an institution.
Yeah,
He's an institution.
right.
And he's in a situation where, and here's one of the differences that you look at. You look at the fact that you have a situation where you have a guy who has to adhere to employment practices. And that's what you have in Sterling as an employer. Okay, of a large institution or whatever it is that he has. He does have a certain high standard as an employer to work from, which says, and there are laws in the book about discrimination and how you treat and what you say to people.
Right.
So I think this, even though this is a basketball team, we're talking about the same situation. Same situation is being talked about. So it's troubling to me. I'm very disappointed by the fact that the way that it happened, and how we won't let it go away, because it is what it is.
Right.
But I think if you look at it in terms of employer-employee, that's where I think the difference comes. Because as an employer, okay, you have some standards that you have to employ by, and you just can't say and do anything that you wish to. That's what the law is, what's on the books. So I think that's how the fact that it was racial, that's even worse.
Right.
That's even worse. But is it uncommon? No.
No.
It is not uncommon. It is a standard of practice.
But see, something as simple as just acknowledging that we're all racist to some degree.
Yes, we are.
And see, when you say that, people look at you. It's like what?
Well, we all are.
Yeah. To some degree,
to some degree.
Yeah. To some degree,
I think
you
so.
know, by nature,
Yeah.
that's just common.
But the human dynamic says that I'm not there. I'm going to encounter people that I may not get along with when we first meet each other.
Right.
That's the human dynamic.
Right.
That's just human nature. Now, what makes that difference is how we go forward. For whatever be the reason. You know what? Listen, I'm driving down the street on I-4, and this guy cut me off, and I meet him at the light. I'm not going to wish him a good day. Not at that moment. I need to talk about the fact that you just cut me off.
Right.
Now, his response to that will determine how we go forward. If he says, I did that to someone one day and they followed me to the light, and my attitude was totally different.
Right.
But when they expressed why they did, I said, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Right.
As opposed to I could have gone a different direction.
Right.
We may have had an altercation there in the street. And
Right.
when the guy cut me off, had he not just simply said, listen, I'm sorry, I'm sure I would have reacted differently.
Right.
From this. So I think a lot of this is about reaction. But you said a word earlier that we do have to take into consideration, and that's maturity.
Right. Yeah.
That's maturity.
Yeah, and that's the thing is for most Stan is joined the, and I was, as I said before, Stan, because Stan was part of when we talked about it before, and that is that it's not a surprise.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's
a long way from a surprise.
It's not a surprise. It's like you deal with it, you see it all the time.
It's not a surprise to us.
Right.
Exactly.
It's a surprise to them.
And
Still go wrong. But really, in reality, it's not a surprise to them.
well, no, and I would
they
say
do it.
they you know what their surprise are? That it got out. That's what
it.
they're surprised
That's
about.
it.
Not that he said it.
Right.
And not that he feels that way. It's just the fact that it got on tape and that somebody exposed it. That's what they're surprised about. Because the first thing I'm going to assume they said, how could you let that happen? How could you let that tape get out? Not the fact that he said it.
Right.
How'd you let it get out?
Right.
He didn't pay off.
He didn't pay off. He had paid off. It would not have happened.
That would have been different. But he didn't pay
He
off.
didn't pay off.
Right. And we were just talking about the fact that was the first thing that he said. He didn't come on to, apologize or to say blah blah, because again, he didn't say anything wrong.
Not in his.
In his eyesight, he did.
He did
Right.
not.
Right.
Because he been like that forever, for all his life, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Right. So
ever since he came on the scene that we know
right,
about.
and so that's
Like that.
we were discussing. We were talking about the fact that he said what he said. And he was talking about his circle.
Yep.
In his circle, that's how they feel. That's how they
That's
see.
exactly how they see it.
Yeah, how they see us. So, but nobody really talks about that.
That's one of them hush hush.
Well, but
But see, we don't talk about it till it gets out. That's when we want. Right now, this uproar, and I still think it's wrong. And regardless of what, in my opinion, no matter how you categorize it, it's still wrong. But the attention is being given. What everybody's waiting to see is what they're looking at, the circus activity. He comes on, he makes another ignorant statement. He comes on again, he makes another ignorant statement. He's becoming amusement more than anything else. We have lost the whole, and I think it could be good PR. Yeah, the whole concept is gone. Now it's more entertainment than it was anything else. Because every time he opens his mouth, he says something really stupid.
right.
So now, how did we get here? When you hear the conversations now, they're talking about the latest thing that he said, not how we got here. So if I'm his,
That's gone. Now.
that's gone. Now if I'm his PR guy, I earn my money.
Right.
Because I've shifted the focus now to just being stupid. And then they're going to say he's senile.
See, there you go. They're going to blame it.
They're going to blame it on senility. He
Senile,
old. Yeah.
And he don't know no
So-
better
so-
right now.
so
He's
he-
not thinking right.
He's an old guy. And he didn't take his meds this morning.
No.
As opposed to going back to what was actually said.
Right.
The concept behind what was said. So that's what part of my irritation is. If we're going to follow it, let's follow it. Let's not get caught up. I wouldn't even put him on TV, honestly. There's no way I would air this.
But they're
But it's
going
good.
to.
Yeah, it's good for money.
but
It's
it
good
goes.
ratings.
They're going to.
Yeah, they're going
Okay,
to. They're
okay.
going to play it over and over and over and
Okay, so which brings me to I'm gonna switch it up.
over. Okay.
How did you feel about ESPN airing that kiss?
Oh, listen. Oh, okay. Let me just say this. Let me say this. And I had to think about this for a minute. I really did because first of all, I will accept where we are today in society. I don't agree with it, but I accept where we are today in society.
Okay.
I'm not advocating for it. A comment was made. If that had been a male and a female, it would not have been an issue. I would agree.
Duh.
Okay, but I'm gonna say this: the fact that we acknowledge who he is, and he had his friend, and he made that. I don't think that I'm not in favor of that. I wouldn't support it, but I wasn't as offended as I was when we got playing it over. Anytime we introduced the story, we started with the kiss. Then someone had the nerve to draw this kiss to marriage. The two have nothing to do with one another.
Right.
And justification. I'm saying, wait a minute. This was a kiss.
Right.
You know what? But now, my opinion, that would have never been aired if it had been two black men, two white men did that. But due to the fact
Now, that's a good point.
that it was a black man
Uh-huh.
and a white man, we gonna add this. We gonna put this out in public. We already got discrimination out there in public right now, so let's add all this out.
Yeah.
The togetherness that we have.
Now, see, you're right. Now, that's a great way to show that the discrimination is that we all can get along.
Get along.
Yeah,
See, so
but not all of us can get along.
they gonna put that out there. You know what I mean? They put that out there on purpose. Because I guarantee you, if it had been two of the same, that it might have got showed that at that particular moment.
Right.
Because they was there.
Right.
But after that, you wouldn't have seen it no more.
But see, and that's my point. I'm going to accept the fact that if that's okay, fine. I'm okay with that. I mean, I can accept that. But now we just keep playing it over, and then we're having discussions about. Here's the point I ask: can he play football?
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Can he play football? Can he make the NFL and help a team win? I don't care what you do when you go home, because he's not the only gay player playing in the NFL.
Right. No.
Okay.
No.
And he wasn't the only one playing in college. So it's not the fact that you want to acknowledge the fact he's the first gay player to come out. Okay, all right, that's worth what? That's a short paragraph.
Well, but
a
okay,
30-second comment on TV and we're gone.
You know what? I'm gonna say this right here. He was stupid to do that. He was straight. If he had done it after the draft, yeah, but he was stupid because he lost a lot of money. From a business standpoint,
Yeah.
he was stupid to do that
Right.
because it hurt him.
It did.
Right.
And
So-
he's not going to gain it back now.
Right.
Now, he will get a lot of support in the gay community.
Right.
And he will
But
get an awful lot in.
but
Yeah,
that's
awful
different from just a business standpoint.
Well, what I'm saying now, they will support it. He will get us. He will be on within that community. He will be a poster boy. He'll get some money, but he will not get mainstream Wall Street in the mega
No, he
advertising.
ain't gonna get no Nike in.
No, he's not gonna get
Oh, them boys.
Well,
money.
let me say this now. Not our lifetime. Now he might get it later on.
He get it like that. I hate to say it. Hey, it is what it is.
It is absolutely. And that was, to me, it's just being overplayed. I mean, it's over. It's done.
Right.
Let's move on. Let's move on. And then, and I stomached it the other night. I watched it 7 times. They started with that, and during the course of the story, it repeated nothing but the kiss. Nothing but the kiss. He is crying and kissing and hugging. Come on now.
How many heterosexuals
One
that
time.
they showed
One time.
doing this
They would show it one time.
and been done with?
Then they would have showed his college. He would have showed him playing ball. They would have never gone back to it.
Right.
So as much as they say we want to be equal, we don't let it be equal.
Right.
We don't let it be equal. I mean, this whole
The whole
situation.
media, the media blows a lot of stuff
They do.
up out of proportion, man. They keep it going.
Well-
they keep it in front of your eyesight.
Well,
right.
well,
You know,
I mean, I have a
How
problem.
can I control you?
Right. Well, yeah, and I actually have a problem with ESPN, with how they do what they do now, because the sports now is just like the Heisman race, when it's the Heisman race, or even when they're coming up for the draft and all the things that they do. It just is so overbearing. It's just they make it seem like it's bigger than life.
Right,
You know, it's bigger than life, and it's almost like it's not even fun anymore, because they just drill it and
Well, it's
just
commercial.
drill it and just
Yeah.
drill it.
Money.
Yeah, I got it, but just like
Look, if this gonna make me money, guess what you finna see?
Yeah.
but
You finna see this.
But the
over
comment wasn't
and
necessarily
over and over.
on ESPN. The comment is that because that has given where it drives it for the money. So our society is to the point that they do it because it is driven for the money.
Not the content.
Right.
The content is not as important as the commercial appeal, and that's what you see. And if you look at, and to your point, a lot of the situations that have occurred, the way it becomes so sensitive to the community, you see it all the time.
Yeah, it is.
Many times people would let things go. The young kid in Mississippi that got tied behind a truck and drugged this guy and killed him. You didn't see much about that. There's a young man where in the middle of the night some teenagers hit a guy in Mississippi and just ran over him and went home as if nothing had occurred. You didn't see much. They didn't drill that into your head.
Right.
No, they don't want you to see
You don't want you to
bad.
see that. You don't want you to see anything like that, because it incites the consumer. Just like on the draft situation, we're gonna incite you to go buy. Well, if we're gonna air what
Right.
goes on in the world, let's air what goes on in the world.
But that's my point. That's my point that I'm making. That it's this, but then all the important things that
They
matters.
yeah.
Exactly what you said.
Exactly. They don't
They
want to
show
do
you
that.
this much.
That's when it comes down to a situation. What you're saying is how it benefits me.
Right.
If it doesn't benefit me,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it.
They don't want nothing to do
I
with
don't
it.
want nothing to do with it.
Don't want nothing
It's
to
got
do
to benefit me. I got to be getting something out of this, and I have to put on the other cap as a businessman. I can appreciate that I want to get as much market play as I can. I want to get as much market penetration as I can. But and I know that many people may disagree, but there's got to be a moral consciousness somewhere in here when enough is enough.
Right.
Okay, I've got my market share. I have command of the market. Can we move on now? Can I continue to build on that? And I build on that by continuing to provide the best product in the market. I'm just keep playing the same thing over and over. And I guess that just disturbs me.
Because if you got a good product,
Exactly.
it's going to sell.
Right. What you think of the idea with Oprah in the documentary, and then with them drafting him, do you think that he has to make that team? I mean, I'm saying,
yeah.
no. What I'm saying, not because the talent, but I'm just saying, do you think the pressure is on them to make sure that he makes it?
Oh, yeah.
You think, I
do.
Well, I think it's a shared pressure. I think it's a pressure on him to make the team.
But what I'm saying is,
There's going to be pressure on them to keep him on that team.
But right, so that's what I'm saying. Let's just say
The draft.
right, but
see, here's the point. To his point that I think has to be made. They have made that decision. Now they got to hope he can help them keep him.
right,
He's got to perform to a level that there's no question
Right.
that I need to keep you. He can't be marginal because they cut marginal players all day long. That's what the NFL draft is about, is getting the best that's available. So now if they taking him, they got to help him make this team.
I don't think they'll cut him the first year if he don't perform. But that second year, you better be able to perform. See, all the hype done died down now.
right.
See,
But the only
all the hype gone.
now here's a situation they're gonna be locked into. Then you got to, as a rookie, you got to give him at least a 3-year contract.
Well, how much is that would have to be guaranteed though? See, that's the thing.
But the money may not be there. But yeah, he'll get base pay, but he's
Right.
got to be there for a certain. Now that's not to say they can't get rid of him.
Right.
Okay. Because they can sign you.
Trust me, they ain't gonna be in that contract. No way, gonna be in there. We tired of getting they ain't that guaranteed. That's long gone.
Yeah. Well, and this will be. Let's be honest. Oprah is a money making thing. It's
Right.
great for her network to put this on, and surely there would be a portion of the community will want to see that. Me personally, I'm not interested.
Well, that's what I meant based on everything that we're saying,
Yeah.
from the documentary to they drafting him
all about money.
and from the gay community
It's all about money though.
Yeah.
and the pressure of him making this
About
team.
money.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you think Oprah would have did all this if it wasn't some kind of game behind?
Oh! I get that part.
Yeah.
No.
For
I
sure.
get that part
Because he was the last
no.
person. He was okay. What about all the guys? It was some draft picks behind him, because he was almost the last. Pick.
Right.
And there was certainly a 7th round pick. But why not pick one of them? No, because the gimmick is
Right.
first
Gay.
openly gay
Right,
guy.
right.
Okay, I understand that, but this whole thing is money driven. She wants to put something on. I can't fault her for that.
Oh no,
Put it
no,
on the network.
no. And actually,
What-
me bringing up, asking the question had nothing really to do with Oprah. It had more to do with part of the documentary putting the pressure on.
They got to make it work.
No, well, not Oprah.
No, but I'm saying they got to make this work.
Putting the pressure on the team and him.
The whole thing's got to work.
Right.
The whole thing's got to work. He's got to make the team.
Right.
He's got to make the starting lineup.
Right. So that's
Okay.
So yeah,
in
that's
order for this story to
right.
be
So
worth
that's
it.
what I'm saying.
It got
From
to be 1 and 1 is 2. When you add another 1, that makes 3. It ain't got to go that way.
It does. Yeah.
Hey, it's out.
It's more difficult for him than the other 7th round players picked.
oh yeah, definitely.
It's far more difficult for him because of the hype that they've given him
then
and the situation.
For him to make the team, the players got to go along with it. Now, we got some players out there. Hey, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want this brother in the same room with me.
That's true. They've already started to say that.
And so that team, they human relation person,
Got
their hands full right now.
That's true. They're working
telling
overtime.
you.
They're working overtime.
They got their hands.
They're working overtime.
Now this is the part to show you just how ignorant and I say we, because that brother that tweeted, and he had to take the tweet down, and then they talking about he need to go into counseling.
That's the guy in Miami.
He said nothing wrong.
No.
At all.
No.
He said what most people
Would have said.
would have said. It wasn't nothing negative. He said, I was kind of shocked that they showed this. That's really all that he said.
Now the only thing that he has a part of his contract, and I think this will be open to definition from inside his arbitration group about what he said, because they're very sensitive about anything against the league. You don't say anything about the officials. You don't question it. But he made, in my opinion, his statement was, I saw nothing wrong with the statement. He just simply said what I was thinking. I'm surprised y'all did that.
Right.
I'm surprised somebody drafted it. Now I don't see that being negative.
Right.
I really don't see anything wrong with that. That's not being negative. He didn't criticize the individual. He didn't talk anything about his play, about his situation. He just simply said, I'm surprised they drafted him.
Right.
And I would have said the same. In fact, I did say the same thing.
Right.
A lot of people say the same thing.
I'll be honest with you, I forgot he was in the draft until a friend of mine called and said, did you see, would you draft
I didn't
him?
even know he was in the draft.
Well, I thought he was going to be in the
Well,
draft. I was like,
the funny thing was, I was watching it, and then I was like, did he get drafted and I missed it? You know what? Because nobody was talking about it. Nobody was saying anything.
Not a topic until he got drafted.
Right. And so then I was like, I thought he's supposed to be like a top player or something. So then I was confused, because I was like, he's supposed to be like a top player. Nobody's saying anything, because you know how they talk about prospects that's out there. I can't believe this team overlooked this guy. Blah 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 blah.
So nobody wanted to touch that.
Nobody
wanted to touch that. They didn't want to wake up the sleeping giants.
While they sleep, let it
let it stay there.
So now I was like, well, I wonder if I got his name wrong, because I was like,
you had it right.
It's just, oh man, that's where we are. I understand.
In society today, that the reason he came out, because he knew eventually it was gonna come out.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, see.
So
right. Okay.
If I was him, I would have thrown it out there right then too, cause I know if I had got drafted and I didn't say something about it, the first thing they would have did, and they little clause in there somewhere,
they would have got it.
They would have got it.
Yeah.
So he said, let me put it out here right now. So if you draft me.
But how is that any different than any other gay guys that drafted though?
But did they know these guys were gay? Did these guys come out and tell them they was gay?
But
they know they're gay.
No.
Right.
But until you tell me you gay, I'm not gonna say you gay. Why? Because you can turn right around.
Discrimination, yeah.
And say, hey, you saying that?
Well, what the military say? No,
don't ask.
Don't tell.
Right.
So and they know.
Same concept there.
Yeah, same concept. They know. There's no way a guy in the human dynamic of team play, you with players on a regular basis, you learn an awful lot about them.
Look at the college kids that came out. What college you went to? Oh, I can't think.
The basketball player?
Yeah, basketball player.
Collins?
Yeah.
Collins?
Look at him.
Everybody knew.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
You didn't have to tell us. We were just waiting on you.
You say that. You already knew that.
We were just waiting on you to say something.
True. And that's the same situation here. They were waiting on you to say it. We all knew it.
The coach knew it. The players knew it.
That his little boyfriend, Sam's boyfriend, been hanging around.
They knew
it was obvious. I mean, and it was okay. Everybody was okay with it. But now, here's the dynamic, though. Now think about this. You got a 52-team roster. We're traveling together, providing he makes the team. So we're traveling together. We're lodging together. We're eating together. We're playing together. We're showering together, and we're sleeping together.
Right.
Now people can plead ignorant if they want to. That's a problem. Now it's gonna take.
Who's gonna be his roommate?
Who's gonna be his roommate? Now it's got to be somebody who's strong-natured, who can that's gonna make that decision.
See.
But that's not, and that's something to think about now. That's something you got to think about.
Who's gonna be his roommate?
Who's gonna be his roommate? Who's gonna be his traveling partner?
Yipper.
Probably one of the other gay guys on the team.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Come out
they hadn't come out yet, and at the end of the season, he'll come out. So then,
right? And then the boyfriend gonna be jealous.
They'll be jealous. Well,
and that's gonna be part of the
they already
another soap opera.
There's been some conversation now that they did a background check on the boyfriend, and they're finding some things in his background, and supposedly there's been some unrest in the happy house because of his exposure to all these. That's the human dynamic right there. I don't care whether it's male or female. That's the human dynamic. That's gonna blow up after a while. That's what I'm saying. You look at Beyonce and Jay-Z. I thought we were living pretty good. All of a sudden, we got an altercation in an elevator. About what? You got everything in the world. What could y'all be arguing about?
Oh, you know, families have disagreements.
Yes, that's true.
But people.
Over
But see,
what though?
but people.
They were kicking and scratching.
But people are people, you
True,
know.
that is true.
You know, people are people, and that doesn't change. The only difference between them and myself is that they are able to express themselves a little more,
That's
or a little better.
Yeah, well,
you know, and that's really the difference, is because they can truly act a fool.
Well, I agree with the concept that people are people. That's 100%
Right.
correct. But I, you know, we tend to, entertainers, celebrities, athletes, we kind of put them on a different shelf and want to think that they would act differently. But when in fact they are just human, and they
Right.
just happen to have an opportunity that I don't have to act the fool in front of everybody.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that is true.
Right.
If you look at it, look where some of these players' background.
Oh,
Where they from.
absolutely, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
If you, now, I'm just like they used to say, you can't take a country boy out of the country and put him in the city and expect him to act like a city
See, but
boy.
it's not going to happen.
It don't work. It don't work that way. And that's the same thing with some of them.
That's true.
You know, yeah, we got you out of this area and put you over here, but you ain't gonna change. Hernandez for one.
Oh, yes.
Look at this boy.
Perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah, we took you out of the gang situation, but look what you gonna do.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
You
those.
still got that mentality.
Well, you look at this year's draft from the NFL, and you have the NBA coming up. You're going to take a kid 24 hours earlier who possibly has nothing. Okay, could come from a disastrous household, four, 6, 8 people living in one bedroom house. The 24 hours from that, this guy can buy something as large as a hotel, just on his word. What has changed? Simply his means. His mentality has not changed.
Right.
His
Exactly.
inability to handle his finances have not changed. His social decisions have not changed. You just gave him more money to do what those things that he's doing. And now the NBA and the NFL do their best with these rookie seminars they have, but it's more than that. We're talking about a culture change.
I'm telling you.
Did you guys see the documentary Broke?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
And that documentary, for however long it's on, for 2 hours, it keeps you.
Oh, absolutely.
It keeps your attention.
And you're surprised at some of the people that they're talking to.
Right. Right.
There
Yeah.
a couple of guys on it that really shocked me that they were in that kind of a situation. And then there were a couple of others who I was surprised who were doing exceptionally well. But just based on their demeanor, what I knew about them, I wouldn't have thought that they would have been that astute to take care of their finances, because that's a lot of money going through your hands at one time.
You know, the people that we look at and say, okay, well, we know he ain't gonna do good.
That's the one that's going to do it.
That's the one gonna do good.
That's the one that does it.
You know, that perception.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
We
a
stereotype them.
bad-
We stereotype them.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, well,
and
absolutely.
then you look at him and say, oh, I thought he was been broken.
Out the league.
Now this
Well,
guy
you mentioned
got
Hernandez.
a lot of money.
Nobody thought Hernandez coming from University of Florida. Okay.
But see, they didn't know this boy background when he
No.
was at the University.
No,
of
they
Florida.
knew it, 'cause that's one of the things-
Before the media didn't know.
They know, the media knew, yeah, but coaching staff knew.
The coaches
They knew what
Yeah.
they had, but the media didn't know.
No.
Now when they found out, they backed all the way back up to his high school days.
Yeah.
They
He
all
was
the way
a
back.
thug then.
He was a thug then. He was a thug then. A bona fide thug. He wasn't trying to be a thug. He was a thug.
Wow. And the more that you hear about him, the more shocking, because the story came out the other day, yesterday, You know how he just rolled up on and just shot,
Mm-hmm.
supposedly.
Yeah.
You know,
Allegedly.
allegedly,
He's been indicted based on that. Though.
Right.
They indicted him for
Yeah.
2 murders.
that he
right?
just
And looking at the time,
just rolled up on a car and just shot and killed. You know, and it's just like when you look at him, you're trying to understand because he had the world.
Oh yeah.
I mean, playing for the New England Patriots,
Yeah.
a star player, making all the money, and what makes you just
Well, we were just talking about that. You know, you change his financial well-being, but you didn't change his mentality.
right, but because it's almost like whatever that is, he felt like he got away with it once, and then he go, oh well, there's no way I can do this because this is almost like this is what I do,
Fortune and fame will make you think that.
you know.
And that is what he did.
Yeah.
He was a gangbanger.
Yeah.
And he figured he could continuously do what he do.
That is, I mean, and every time I see him, you know, because he seemed to be a clean cut guy, his demeanor, you know,
His demeanor don't change.
right.
He's just like, I didn't do nothing.
Well, you kind of put him in the same. Now, if you're saying that, you could put Hernandez and Sterling side by side, and neither one of them think they did anything wrong. You see, well, he killed people. Well, I understand that, but that's not my issue. My issue is the mentality of the individual. He does. That's fine. Who says who?
Right.
You know, they both of them think I'm good. I haven't done anything. You know, so it something to be said about money. Having
There's a lot to be
over
said
the
about
a lot to
money?
yeah, things change now. Things change when you got money.
If you got money, you got milk.
You, that's true.
So,
very
let me ask, what you think gonna happen with Sterling?
I believe that he's going to put up a fight, but I think ultimately they're going to take the team from him. They're going to find out. My concern would be whether or not, because the players were saying that especially the Clippers, they don't want, and Doc Rivers had made the statement that they don't want any of the family to be involved in it at all. And some of the conversation I'm hearing, there's a possibility that it could be passed down. It's not going to go to the wife, although she has she's like a partner in it, but
Right.
they're going to take it all from him. I think he has children.
Okay.
So some of the conversation was said that one of the kids might get it, but
they were saying the kids couldn't get it either.
see, that's what I was
Because they was
wondering.
benefiting from it now.
Right,
Anybody
okay.
that was benefiting from it, they couldn't get the team.
Okay, so that was
Sterling,
saying that
he said, "Hey, I'm gonna fight you till I die."
and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. He's going
I'ma
to,
fight
because
for
now
that
they say he has cancer,
Oh yeah.
so he has cancer. So it
Right.
will be a fight to the death. It'll be a fight to
And
the
you
death.
know, I think they holding on because it's some kind of law gonna be passed where they trying to figure out the tax thing on it.
Mhm.
Because if he sell it, and how they had it, if he sell it now, the way California law is, that he have to pay taxes on all the money that he benefits.
they
from.
benefit
like
from.
he paid one amount, but he gonna sell it for this amount, so he got to pay taxes from here
Well,
to here.
he bought it for $500,000,
Yeah.
and it's worth almost $3 billion.
Almost 2 million.
Almost $3 billion.
So from where you
3.2 billion is what that thing they're saying.
No. He bought it. No, he bought it way cheaper than that.
Well, yeah, it was $250,000 or $500,000.
Yeah.
It's a quarter of a half, but I mean the value is up.
Right,
now.
right,
So the
right.
taxes would be from
Taxes
that
at that point.
to now.
Now.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
probably why he's fighting. That's probably why he's fighting. Yeah, that makes sense now. I mean, if I gotta sell it, I gotta get something out of it. The man is not exactly stupid. I mean,
Oh, no.
he's gotten away.
You know you lawyered up.
Oh,
You
yo,
know you
shoot,
lawyered
yeah.
up. They telling me, look, you ain't got that much time. now.
So you better
Come on
make a
now, You
move.
want to leave something for your kids? Let's do it this way.
Well, he got an arbitration attorney, and the guy who's initiated first contact with the NBA already, telling them you can't force him to sell it. Oh, yes, they can, because that's what document he signed.
Yeah.
But I think it's more what you're saying now. Okay, well, we'll fight him for a little while till we get this other thing taken care of, because the bulk of his money is in real estate anyway.
Right.
Even if when he sells this, it's not going to matter. What will be interesting to me will be who will buy it.
Oh.
That's what's going to be interesting. Who will be the next one? And the guy that got in there now, the CEO, Dick Parsons, is very well respected in the business community. You know, he's worked with Time Warner and Citicorp. This guy's on top of his game. He'll have the team ready, but who will actually? It'll be financially solvent. It'll be running very well, but who's going to buy it? That's going to be interesting. Who will be the next owners?
Who going to step up with the money?
The money. Now Oprah can write a significant part of that.
But then you look. But then, okay, she buy the team. Who gonna pay the salaries now?
The same, but
For the team.
but that's
When she buy it,
right.
Yeah.
she going to have to pay the salary for it. The team
She
got
got
to make his
the
money.
salary for the team. Team
Yeah.
got to make the money.
Yeah,
So
team.
when you stepping in there, you already behind.
Well, she got, because the price that they're going to, we take for instance when Magic bought into, to your point, Magic bought into the Dodgers. Okay, you're right. He came in, he's part owner, but they got to make some money so he can get his money back.
Yeah.
They got to win. They got to win some games. They got to win a couple of championships or leagues, something.
I put my money out
Yeah.
there. Hey, I want some. Hey, you
Want
got
some
to guarantee me some return. You know, $2.5 billion. Oh yeah, I got to have some guarantee.
Oh yeah, I got to get some money back.
I got to guarantee. You got to guarantee me all those sponsors that dropped.
We'll come
Take
back.
you back.
We'll come back. I
Now-
think they will come
now,
back.
Oh,
if
yeah,
they
yeah,
come
yeah,
back,
yeah,
Then
yeah.
you know, hey,
I
I
think
know I
they
got
will.
my money.
I think they will come back.
Oh,
The
definitely.
first time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My money
Ooh,
back.
that's some serious dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's a question I would ask you. Through all of this, you had your players. You think about you put your head coach in a situation where he has to be an arbitrator between the players, the front office, and the media, and his own life. That's asking a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's asking an awful lot because now some of the conversation that was said, I think about Doc. I've had the opportunity to meet him. He's in a mixed marriage situation. What do you say? What do you say to your children? What do you say to your wife about this situation as you stand there? And then they even had him go down and talk to the front office people to try to calm that bit. That's a lot on this guy when he's supposed to, you're trying to get him to win a basketball game. But he got to be a band-aid for the community almost. He was the poster boy for this while he's trying to win. And I think they did. I would have loved to have seen them go on to the next round. That would have been fantastic had they had that opportunity. So that says a lot about him. He's caught up in the
Now,
business.
if I was Doc and I was in my house, I would have said, "Baby, don't worry about it. He ain't no fool." But now, out in the real world,
I got.
you can't say
You
it.
can't say it like that. You're right. You're right about that. At home is different.
See,
Yeah, at home is different.
and I make sure ain't no tape recording.
So we're gonna say this in the shower.
Yeah. Nobody never been
Never
you.
ever been you.
So if you get out, I know you can't.
Okay, last question. What you think gonna happen with the Sam's situation? Make it? You think he gonna make it? You think he gonna be a impact player? What?
My prediction will be that he will make the team,
Right.
but I don't think he'll be an impact player right away. If he can make the team, and the team will stay around him as a team, then he will have an opportunity to be. I don't know that because there's a lot of discussion about the fact that whether he was gay or not, whether or not he can make it in the NFL. Because the kid has some good numbers and stuff, but like any other college player coming out, and obviously, and I do think the fact that he was drafted as low as he was also had to do with the fact that he was gay, but also had to do with his level of ability as well.
Right.
Okay, so I think he'll make it. Impact player, not right away.
Okay.
After that, I'm not sure.
His ability, he should be able to play. Now, believe it or not, I would have had second thoughts. Because you come out openly and say you gay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna question your ability to get out there and play with the best of the best.
Best. That's yeah.
You know, can you play with the best of the best?
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, we have that concept that they feminine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he gonna be able to take a real hit
And deliver a real
and
hit.
deliver a real hit?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question mark.
We're gonna know the answer to that very soon. Very, very soon. We're gonna know the answer
And
to that.
then again, like he said, if the team got together around him, if you get one out the whole team don't gather around him, he won't make it.
But see, I also think there's additional pressure on the team, not him. Additional pressure, not to cause any. I mean, it's gonna happen anyway. There's pressure because the guys can't wait to hit him.
Oh,
I mean, they can't wait to to light him up.
I can't wait for him to hit him. Try to see. I want to see how you go at
Right. You know, but I think there's an additional pressure that's being brought down from the top to say, oh, okay, now you guys, you got to be this towards this guy. You know, you can't, you know, be like at the water cooler talking blah 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 blah. You know, that kind of stuff. And you know, but you know, it's
Can't
just
be like another Miami.
Exactly.
Miami.
But you got
right.
you got to think about
Right.
this.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
management of the Rams put the pressure when they sat in that room and decided to draft this young man. They put the pressure on themselves.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so now you had to believe that he could make this team. You had to believe all the questions that you're asking are going to be answered, and you had to believe it. If not, you wasted the opportunity. Now, did you do it just to be a martyr, or did you do it because you really think he can help your football team? And my hope would have been that you thought he could help my football team, and because with that comes all this other controversy. And do you want all that around your football team? Because that could be very distracting to the team. And that's why I think it's going to be important that the team will have to embrace him. He'll have to become one of the team, which is the only way you can do team. We all have to be in this thing together, and they're going to have to weather that storm. And that's where I think a question will come up. Some guys are going to be saying, why should I have to weather this storm?
Right.
Well, the answer is because you're on the team.
And you know, if you make one bad play,
Oh. It's gonna get blown out of proportion.
ESPN.
Yeah, they gonna light him up. See, so this is when he gonna get the other side of ESPN. they were all over him this, they gonna be all over him on this one as well.
All right, guys, we ran out of time, but want to thank the guys for coming on. Vince Carter, Stan Rome for coming on. As you see, we have a lot of fun, and actually, I think it was a pretty good show. So if you tuned in, thought that we was going to be bashing, we didn't bash anybody. Did we bash anybody?
I don't think so.
No. We didn't bash anybody. So want to thank you. Remember, the journey is from me to you and from you to me. I'm Charles Morris, and you guys have a great week.